Welcome to Speak Sex. I'm your host, Eurydice, and today's episode is our monthly Q&A. So we'll be answering questions that you, the listeners, the audience, submitted to me, either on my Instagram, Speak Sex Podcast, through DM or through the Ask Questions functionality on the story of the day on that Instagram account, Speak Sex Podcast, or through email. The emails I receive at speaksexpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for trusting me as your sex whisperer. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating in this expanding consciousness and expanding dialogue. I am most diligently archiving every confession, every question, every dilemma, every truth, every radically honest truth that comes from you, as well as my guests. And everyone else I speak to who prefers to stay anonymous. So in your questions, the more information you give us, the better we will be able to answer you, whether it's me alone or me and my guests on the episode. So be in touch, please. And I want to thank my co-hosts for the day, Fabi, known as Mr. X, and Dolores, also known as Martha, are my friends. They come from very different points of view on gender and sexual approaches. And I'm interested in having them interact with each other. They've never met before. I know them both, and I'm fond of both of them, of course. So let's get some questions, and would you please, Dolores, Martha, read them for us?
Should we do a question?
Yeah, let's start with the questions. And
I wish we could reveal who they come from. And,
yeah,
put a picture of them.
Yeah, well, if this is...
I apologize in advance, whoever you are.
Okay.
Not really.
Martha.
So we have one here. Every time my boyfriend tries to give me oral sex, I start giggling uncontrollably. This does not go over well. What can I do?
Push his face in there harder?
Excellent answer.
So the giggling can be kind of like the beginning of a great feeling, right? It shouldn't be something to be afraid of, right? laughter could be a really good entryway into
No, but
orgasm,
if he was smart,
right?
he'd know he's doing it wrong, right? I mean, okay to tickle a little, but no one wants to be tickled for like 20 minutes, right? I mean, tickle me once, okay.
Tickle me twice, there's the door.
Get to fucking work.
I mean, everybody's different, so we have to start with that.
Yeah.
You know, the same way that like our fingerprints are different, our responses, erotic responses are different. So she may be like extremely turned on right away, but normally, and again, normative being averages, statistically, it means she's nervous. It means that she's not relaxed, she's not letting go, she's thinking, oh my God, his face is right there, like where I pee from, or whatever she's thinking, right? So for me, again,
because we're assuming she's the type of girl that doesn't like freshen up like 7 times a day, right? I mean, who raises these women?
He's tough as nails. So I'm going to say giggling is good when you're coming, right, because it's part of the jouissance, right? The expression of joy of orgasm, and it comes out of you naturally. But giggling when he's starting to eat you out most often means you're holding back. You're still you, as like your mom and dad know you. So forget that. Like, don't be yourself. Be the fucking person. Be the person who is about to come, and that's all.
It's also not your fault. Most likely, you haven't told him how you like it, and he's doing it wrong. Right?
I don't know.
Could it be a case where there isn't chemistry, and the giggling is a way to shut it off?
It's nervous, or it's actually just tickling.
It is possible also, yeah. That's another option, that there is no chemistry. She's just not feeling it.
I mean, I don't know how you got that far without
the chemistry, right?
I mean...
Well, for some people, that's the first step.
Pants go down first? Come on.
Yeah, for some people, you're not sure you have
That's
chemistry.
Just another desperate person looking
out.
for any kind of semblance of wanton, Come on.
Okay.
Who's raising these girls?
I don't know. I don't think
Do you
their
have a
mothers
daughter?
tell them. I know. He doesn't. How convenient. I know. We each have a daughter.
Yeah.
He has a son. It's
Well,
hard for a
okay.
mom to tell a girl when.
It shouldn't be.
No,
Yes.
it's not. It's
Have
not hard.
honest conversations
Yeah.
with your kids.
Yeah, of
Teach
course,
them
you
what's
have
right.
honest
Teach them to respect
conversations.
themselves and only do things that they genuinely are interested in doing.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you should re-examine that choice of partner, but also re-examine whether or not you're comfortable with cunnilingus. And you should be, just like be complete. So I would say one simple exercise: masturbate in front of your guy, come in front of him, find ways like that to break the ice and get to a place where you're comfortable being completely exposed sexually.
Yeah.
And then try it again.
Right, because you have to get rid of the silliness.
Right.
And the silliness is
exactly.
fear.
Yeah, the silliness is fear. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or push his face in.
Yeah.
Caller, please try that and get back to us.
Okay, so somebody wants to know, is it true that women hit their sexual peak in or after their 40s? Is this 40s? I don't know if she says 40s or 30s.
I think she says 30s.
30s, and men much earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but wonder because my husband and I are the same age.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the...
If you have to ask, you're staring at the clock too long.
Yeah, if you have to ask, you haven't gotten there
It's
yet.
like when you're looking for your keys, you don't find
Right.
them.
Right.
Stop looking at the calendar.
Yeah.
And get to work.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we definitely are told that women orgasm later. It takes women longer to find their orgasms.
Is that a myth, or it's just a learning curve that people just haven't been informed and they learn more?
Well, again, statistically, it's accurate, meaning even if you come, let's say, vaginally, pretty soon after you had your first sex, it will take you some time, often years, before you find each one of your 7 potential orgasms.
But is that biologically
you have
true or
like
culturally
the clitoral,
true?
and then you have the G-spot, and it's hard to know
That's why
whether it's
Jamaicans are so
biological.
popular.
It's hard. I don't think that biologically we're all ready from the get-go upon losing or finding our virginity to like come in all the potential ways that we have of coming.
On that Kinsey study, what was the quickest orgasm for a woman?
Oral.
But what was the timing? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. But definitely the fastest for the most women. Not all, because there are definitely many types of women. But for most women, it was being eaten out.
Faster than
I don't remember
masturbating?
Faster.
Well, I
thought
meant
you
more the
sex.
timing. I meant the timing, though. Because
I don't
there was like
remember.
a guy who could come in like 3 seconds.
Seconds, yeah. The guys are always faster.
That's
Yeah.
a contest I don't want to win.
I know, I don't want to win it either.
Well, you just
But also,
wait and
you
go
know,
again.
so the guys, yes, like when the guys are, teenagers, they can't wait to just shoot their load, so to speak. The same doesn't happen biologically for women. They are turned on, they want to be turned on, but they need to be stimulated physically, so even masturbating, most women take longer to make themselves come in masturbation than like guys. But it's not like that much of a difference, so I don't think that it should make a difference to her marriage. She should just keep trying new things and finding ways to orgasm, because we have so much more versatility than the men.
I can't think it's true.
Present company excluded.
I mean, people always say women in their 30s and 40s, and I can't think it has very much to do with biology. It has to do with women feeling secure in their
culture,
bodies. Yeah.
right? Yeah, and it takes us a long time to
give
unlearn.
permission.
Yeah, to get permission. Mm-hmm.
Okay, my
Give
friend is
permission.
my
That's
friend
cute.
is dating
They're
a
all
guy.
begging for it. And if they're not, that's why they're not getting it right. You got to be
Yeah.
a little bit hungry.
Yeah, you have to be hungry. Ladies.
Don't be afraid to show you're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Yeah, I
Show your
agree.
hunger.
I agree.
Okay, so my boyfriend and I
right?
had
The
a
starving
threesome.
people appreciate the sandwich more than anyone.
Yeah. Oh no, exactly.
I
And,
volunteered at a soup kitchen.
I'm dying. He's not PC.
Clam chowder. My boyfriend and I had a threesome with my roommate. Now she keeps asking me when we are going to do it again. I want to, but I'd rather leave my boyfriend out next time. Is this normal experimentation or Am I gay?
You're not gay. You're insecure, and you're afraid that your boyfriend might be feeling the same way you are.
That could definitely be one answer, that she wants to do more, but she doesn't want the boyfriend to perhaps like the roommate better. That's one answer.
Why is she so
The other
concerned
is that
about
she
being gay?
likes exactly. That's a good. That's the.
just an
that's
excuse.
The normal response is, it's just like try it out with your roommate. I mean, she
Yeah.
lives right
She
there.
has a boyfriend. Look at how many
How
women
wonderful.
don't have boyfriends
Yeah,
today.
yeah, she has a
She doesn't
boyfriend.
want to let
The
that
best.
one go.
I know she has a boyfriend
Yeah.
and she has a roommate that she likes to go down on, or
Yeah.
vice
Stop
versa.
it. Embarrassment of riches. We're not helping you.
Exactly.
Next.
How blessed.
And how selfish, right?
Damn.
Yeah.
Unless he's allowed to play with his roommate, or someone else. Can he play with
Point.
someone else? Are you
Point.
having an
We should
open
ask her.
relationship? Are you comfortable with that? Or are you
Yes.
just selfish?
And would she be
greedy
comfortable
and
with
think
trying
that it's
it
all
out
about you?
with her boyfriend and his roommate? Would she do that?
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how would he feel knowing that you would rather play what you'd rather satisfy yourself while he's at home not being satisfied?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I don't think
Something
it's
like that. I
it's
know.
it's is it
Well,
a
I think
choice?
that she's
You
wondering.
can have
I mean,
different.
I think that her main question here is a question of identity.
Yeah.
So we need to address it, and the answer is no. You can be attracted to women and be straight. You can have sex with women and be bisexual, leaning towards straight. This kind of like exclusive identities are limiting.
Totally.
And even though they're super trendy nowadays, they do limit us because we should be free to switch back and forth and go in
Yes.
whatever direction
I
we
have
want.
to know the other side of the relationship. This sounds to me like she's just insecure.
Yeah.
And she's also just, enjoying the massage with a happy ending. And
So
that's what
Fabi
she's
speaks
playing
on
it with.
behalf of the male of the species.
Yeah,
No, I feel like she's
No, you are.
She wants something non-threatening to the relationship, and she might just want a little extra, and she won't have it with another guy because that actually would cause her to lose the boyfriend. If he ever found out about her playing with the girl, she could say, I was just experimenting and it was fun, and most guys are turned on by that. I think it's a complete violation of trust in the relationship. If she has the thought, she should discuss it with him. But leaving him out while she partakes, I think is betrayal.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
as long as
I
it's
agree.
honest,
She should
as long
tell
as
him.
she tells
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
She should
yeah,
have
yeah.
the conversation.
I totally agree with that. Yeah,
and,
honest above
and
all.
take that chance.
But what she's really concerned about is her bisexuality.
I think so.
and her
Yeah, I think
gayness,
it's her identity.
which is like
yeah.
don't think about identity anymore. Do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's identity politics that is going to make us lose the Democratic
Election again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Every-
we don't want to talk about politics.
Whoa.
Let's get out of identity politics. Every
Come
time
on.
my boyfriend tries to give
Questions
me
like that make them lose.
every time my boyfriend tries to give me oral sex. Okay. How do I know if my boyfriend is an
Oh,
alcoholic?
you skipped that? What?
Yeah, we did the giggling.
Ah, okay.
Um,
How do I know if my boyfriend is alcoholic?
when I told my sister that he drinks a 6-pack every night, more on weekends, she said he must be, but he doesn't act drunk.
A
I mean-
6-pack?
What a
What is a six-pack?
Pussy.
Totally.
Who drinks beer anymore? I'd worry about him getting fat.
Yes, that's the problem.
Well, does it affect him sexually? Does he like fall asleep and snore?
I'd be more
instead of
concerned if he's a
sleeping
mean
with her?
drunk or a
No.
happy drunk.
Right.
Yeah, a
And-
mean drunk is a no-no.
Right.
Or if he like forgets the next day what happened the night before, that is a sign.
Or if he can't have sex because he's falling
exactly.
asleep.
Yeah, that was my
No,
first
He's
question.
drinking beer, not
This-
whiskey.
this is-
He's
no.
just
Right.
going to smell. It's
Yeah.
you want to have sex with him after a certain time.
Word.
Yeah, change
Yep.
the drink too.
Okay, I went to an art opening with one guy and left with another who took me
Oop.
out to dinner, and I slipped my panties into his pocket. I
Well,
don't know
I
what
guess-
her
I guess-
question is. Okay.
I guess you split the check then. Again, who's raising these women?
I think she's trying to ask if she's a slut, but doesn't say it, right? Is that there's
I
some
think she wants someone to say,
consternation
no,
about the
no, you're a
morality?
good girl.
Yeah.
And no, you're not.
She must be
unless-
wondering about the morality of it or how it, the appearance of it. She must have woken up the next day and felt like, what? Who am I? Why
you
am I
dance with
this
the date
way?
you came with. I'm sorry. What a disrespectful
I think she's wondering
girl.
where are her panties.
Yeah,
No, I think she's telling us that she slept with it. I mean, if you put your panties in someone's pocket, you're gonna sleep with.
who you
Him or
just
her.
met
Calling
after
card.
coming with a guy and
Who-
leaving with another
Right.
guy. You obviously needed the free fucking ride there, and then you needed the free dinner.
Wait,
I don't
wait.
know. That's
I'm
very
gonna
cynical.
I'm going to call you out on this.
I just think that
Fabian,
she's
I
a
feel-
free
I-
spirit.
Wait. I feel like, why can't we just look at it as though she's doing what you espouse women should do, which is to be looking for different experiences without
Right.
having to.
Then go to the party alone and leave with whoever you find
So
interesting.
you
I
believe
always
in
go to
rules
the
of
party
decency.
alone.
Just self-respect. You went with somebody, you leave with them. When you are done
Fabi's
with your date,
rules.
She did leave with somebody. She just happened on her way out to slip the panties in somebody else's pocket.
No, I thought you said she went to dinner with another guy.
She
and then
went
put
to
the
dinner.
panties on
She
her
went to
pocket.
the art opening with one
She went
guy,
with one guy and left with
ditched
another.
him and left with another guy.
Who took her out to dinner.
Who took her out to dinner, and then she put the panties in the second guy's pocket. So we're assuming
Yeah.
she slept with the second guy,
Right.
and she's
No,
probably
she didn't
asking
sleep-
us
she
about
probably
the
didn't
optics
sleep
of
with
the
him,
thing.
which doesn't make her any less a slut.
I just
He
don't.
said the word.
I don't have
he
a
said
problem
the S
with
word.
anything that she's done
Why? Do
here.
people not say that word anymore?
It's loaded.
They just live it?
We don't slut shame
Well,
anymore.
I mean,
Abby.
what is it?
Slut shame?
Yeah, we don't.
Come on, there's good sluts and bad sluts.
There's
This one's a
only
bad
like
one.
no sluts. It's just like people being themselves.
I
Well,
think
if
it
you're
could
not
happen.
a slut in a good way, you're not going to keep them very long, right?
Okay, so
So I don't think
what's-
she's interested
Tiger in the
keeping
bedroom and all?
anybody. I don't think
No,
she's interested
just,
in keeping.
She's just needing constant reinforcement and
I
attention.
think
because
she
has
wants
daddy
reinforcement. Ooh, daddy issues.
Wait. Why does a woman
What
who
is-
is
what are daddy
right?
issues?
Why does a woman who feels sexually attracted to two people in the same room have to have daddy issues? Can't she just be sexually
She-
attracted to
Well,
two
we don't
people?
even know she was
Well-
sexually attracted to the first guy.
Right. I went to an art opening with one guy. Could have been a simple date, and then she found someone more attractive, presumably.
Okay,
She-
caller, can you please finish the question? And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you went to an art opening. That sounds like a date. Right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think
She
it
didn't
was
say
a
I
date.
went to an opening with a
It
good
was a
friend
day.
of mine.
Right.
No, no.
It's,
Right.
It's a
presumed
date.
She went on a
Yeah.
date.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed.
Which
Yeah.
somebody said, "Hi, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah.
like me, I'd like to go out to dinner tonight, or maybe see some art.
Right.
Whatever."
So they went on a
she
date.
went on a date with one,
And then she met
she
someone
saw
else
someone more interesting,
Uh-huh.
and she went back
with the
home
second
him.
guy and put the
Instead of-
panties in
or-
his pocket.
Now, here's what I don't have a problem with. She can go right up to the guy and say, "Hey, this date isn't really working out. Can we just end it now? I'm really sorry.
She might have
I'm
done
not
that.
interested." But she didn't add that.
I don't think she did that.
She'd rather
'Cause
she'd
she's
rather
feeling
load
guilty.
her
The question is
she's
about the
feeling guilty
guilt.
because what
Yeah.
she
Right?
knows right there is that what she did was just disrespectful to herself and to who she came with. And I mean, whatever about the other guy.
I don't
know.
see it that way. I don't think
How do you
she's.
see it,
I don't think she's being. I don't. The word respect kind of rankles
Rubs
me.
you
Yeah, I'm
wrong,
not sure.
yeah.
I'd like some more
'Cause
fine
most
tuning
people
on
don't
that.
respect themselves anymore.
But
They behave like this.
I guess I just don't see how the word respect ties into any scenario where a woman is putting herself out there sexually.
The fact that people don't
know?
start with respect in everything that they do is why they're having so many problems right now. This is just.
Well,
this
I
is
think
just-
we are all confused at this
this
moment.
question is worded very confusing.
The question. The
So let's
question,
reword the question.
To me, the question is about how she woke up the next day and she feels that the optics are not right. She feels uncomfortable about what happened, so she's asking whether or not it was okay. That's
It's
how I would
okay to
read
feel
it.
sexy about putting your panties in someone else's
Right,
pocket.
that
it's
is
okay to
hot.
flirt.
Right.
It's okay to do whatever you want to do
Right.
as long as you do things right.
Right.
And as long as
Right.
you respect and
Right.
are
So
honest
be
with the
accountable.
people
Be
in
accountable.
the
Right.
situation.
Right.
To ditch one for the other,
Mm-hmm.
to sit next, to have your best friend and then make friends with one of their friends and then circumvent
live with
them and you
them.
become friends with their
Right,
friends
right,
and leave them
right,
out.
right.
All these scenarios are wrong.
Yeah.
They're just wrong.
Yeah. Love everybody the
So,
same, and then go home with
if I
whoever.
can't say the other word, I'll say this word. Shame. Shame on you.
I have been finding objects in the
Objects.
bathroom.
Objects.
Cum-soaked objects.
Cum-soaked objects.
Yeah, like conglomerations of crystals and like
Wait,
garden rocks.
how does she know they're cum?
Well-
Oh my God. I thought this is a question she made up. I was like, where do you live? And
Wait,
why are you
wait.
going in Eve's
Wait, who's
bathroom?
cum? No, I don't do that.
Okay.
I do not leave.
So this question,
You don't leave evidence.
this
No, I don't even. No one knows anything. I am so extremely private. Definitely
Not in
no
your
DNA.
bathroom, but this caller wants to know.
Plus, I understand, Wicca, you do not leave your DNA out. Yeah.
Too many Black Mirror episodes. So this person is finding inanimate objects in the bathroom that have clearly been funked up, and they want to know, is it possible that my partner is engaging in a sexual practice with objects? Is that a state that you've heard of before?
And he or she leaves them to be found, which is the
I think it's
important
an
thing
invitation.
here. Right. It's like, but is it guilt or is it invitation? I don't know. It could be either
Could be a
way.
little bit of both.
But what's
Yeah.
weird is that they're not objects that you actually have sex with. They're not like
they're not
holes.
dildos.
Right. They're not. There's nothing
like
that
a
you
stapler.
would
It's like the
They're
mallet.
not like butt plugs.
it's like
they
the
are
turkey
crystals.
baster.
Right.
Wait, crystals would hurt.
Well,
They
she
better
said-
be like smooth crystals.
Well, she said also
I think she means marbles.
Christmas ornaments of elves.
Christmas.
Elves.
So
there's
it's
a
like
lot of
iconography.
perversion. Iconography.
Right. So they're just like icons that are being left around.
Huh?
So her partner is
This
leaving.
is beyond my pay grade,
Okay.
Martha.
Okay.
I'm just
So
gonna
I'll hand
say,
it over to you.
right.
I'm
gonna
I have more
say-
questions. You can't just. I mean, I need to know the setting. Like, first of all, what drugs are they on?
I know what
You know?
exactly.
I mean, did they think the
that-
elf was real or not?
I mean, is there a sexuality where people can obsess over inanimate objects and not human, right?
No, I think people
Yes.
shove anything up their
Well,
ass
didn't you hear
if
the
they're bored
episode?
enough.
Didn't
No,
you hear
it's-
the episode where the girl who designs video games was talking about having, specifically virtual sex and how much more preferable that is. So I think at least generationally, there is definitely a preference for, either objects or let's say imaginings of objects, versions of sex rather than the actual, blood and guts and smells
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
kind of
Which is
it's
so
a
sad.
When
kind
you
of
say
virtual
elf
sex.
or crystals,
Right.
that's sounds a little bit
Yeah.
like fantasy,
It is.
Which is so sad. But again,
like Game of Thrones fantasy. I mean,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
porn fantasy.
Right.
on
Mm-hmm.
the other hand, I think the world is overpopulated. So all these
all the
people that
crystal
don't really
sex you
matter,
want.
let them keep playing with plastic. We don't need to produce
The
more
world
of them.
is
Let's have
overpopulated.
merit-based repopulation.
Yeah, no, definitely the world is overpopulated. We should all practice safe sex, please. Mm-hmm. But our listeners do. It's the people who are not listening who don't. So, moot point. Anyway,
Preaching to
I
the
guess
choir.
we'll move on from those cum-soaked objects that are left in the bathroom. But I think I'm going to hope that they're invitations, but I think it's very likely that they're not, that they're left there to say, this is what I'm secretly playing with,
Right.
and help me.
It's a cry for help.
A cry for help and for therapy. Yeah.
I am 19 and have been going out with my boyfriend for 7 months. He's 21. Recently, he started making me watch him masturbate over men's magazine centerfolds. I've told him I don't like it, but he insists and tells me I will learn to get turned on by it. What should I do?
Okay. Now let's just
Don't sign the
confirm.
prenup.
That's very funny. Do
I
not
worry
sign
about the
prenup.
word learn.
Okay, let
I'm
me
a
just
teacher.
clarify here because I'm not sure I'm clear on it. Men's centerfolds have women on them, right? Yeah.
I think it's
Or
men's.
is it men?
He's masturbating
men?
to gay
to men
pictures.
or to women?
He has the big
no,
penis
no.
book.
It's women. It's women. Men's magazine centerfolds. Men's
Men's
magazine.
magazines
Oh.
have women, right? Okay.
Oh,
All
well,
right.
then I think you should
Get behind him.
Exactly. It's not cheating if he's telling you, and he's sharing it with you. He's inviting you into his fantasy world.
Wait, is it ever
Yeah.
cheating if he's not telling her about a magazine?
If he's
is
not
a magazine
telling-
cheating?
No,
I
magazine
think
is not cheating.
anything
crystal
sexual
cheating?
that's not honest, I think is cheating.
No.
100%.
What?
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
I know. And like
Interesting.
99% of sex
Disagree.
is secret. So, but
I'm
this is an
shocked.
interesting point.
Very
I happen to
interesting.
agree that we should bring it all out in the light and be honest about it all. But yeah, most of it is secret.
So you think
Unfortunately.
that people
'Cause
having
that's how guilt happens with the
online
secrets.
sex is cheating? Virtual sex is
Sure.
cheating?
Sure.
Sexting? Is it cheating?
So what
Sure. Anything that gives
masturbating
you
cheating?
if you are not honest about what turns you on with your partner,
Right.
and you're getting turned off in other ways that you're not sharing with your partner,
Right.
I do consider it a certain level of cheating.
So this is a very strict monogamy paradigm that you've set
It's
up.
No,
not.
it's
It's
not
not about
monogamy at all.
monogamy.
It's
It's
about
not.
being honest. But yeah,
and
the,
which
the
in
challenge
turn actually makes your relationship stronger and better, and your sex life so much stronger
and so much more
and
varied.
interesting.
But it necessitates a partner who's open and mature, right? So like you have to have a partner who's game for all that. So when you say, you know, I have a partner online, I masturbate on men's or women's or both magazines, I want you to participate, I want other lovers, I want to swap, I want to, you know, go to the fetish party and whatever else you want, you know, or fantasize about, you have to have a partner who's open to it. Otherwise, the fear of losing the partner is what leads us to keeping secrets. It's the fear that the other
Which
will not
always
understand.
catch up to you, and you just end up being middle-aged and divorced.
Oh,
Be honest up front.
So what
middle-aged and divorced?
It's not the
He's
worst
such
thing
a
in the
cheery
world.
guy. I know.
Hooray for that.
I know, right? Yeah.
so,
Middle-aged and
okay.
divorce, we'll take that.
So we're assuming here that there's only one partner. What if there are multiple partners? Must equally be informed about every sexual urge.
Interesting. Good question.
Well,
good
what kind of
question.
partner are you? So I guess
So
on
she
this
says
sense,
if
I
you
might be
have
more traditional.
than one
though.
partner.
Because I think it's sexual partners is different than life partners.
Okay.
And I think your life partner is who you want to build that future with, whether it be a traditional family, which is really my only belief for these partnership labels.
Right.
The life partner has to
The
be
life
family.
partner.
What
Right.
else?
That's family.
Right,
You
right.
build a family,
Right.
Right.
and whatever way you decide to do it,
Right.
that's your partner.
Right.
Sexual partners, completely different. But with your life partner, if you have secrets, if you are not honest about who you are and what you want in life, you will find problems at some point down the line. And you'll
also,
create.
sexual partners, if you have a primary sexual partner, then you want to be honest with your primary partner about everything else. And ideally, like bring in secondary partners or whatever secondary practices.
Vis-a-vis the
all
honesty of the
other-
first one.
Right.
Like it has to go
right,
through.
Right. So, yeah.
Oh,
You know, the
interesting.
primary partner can change, doesn't have to be the same for life.
Does there have to be one primary? Are we talking about a pyramid, or can there be multiple primary partners?
Are we talking about sexual partners?
Yeah.
They could be interchangeable over your lifespan. I mean,
Yeah. But
when
wha-
it comes in sexual life, it's going to be the one that makes you come the hardest or turns you on the most, right? That's going to be your primary. But I don't know that. It relates so much into your life partner situation, and I think that's
Right.
what she needs to think. This answer is
the
very
primary partner is like the main sexual partner at any given time, and it could be for a year, it could be for half a year, it could be for
be for
5
the night.
years. And yeah, I mean, if it turns out that you're extremely happy, it could be for life, but that should not be like an assumption or a requirement if you do not have other ties and if you're together because you love sleeping together.
Okay,
And
so
what
I'm
she should get turned on by the way, is his honesty with her. She should be turned on by the
Yeah,
fact
that's
that
a
he
great
is
point.
giving her
Yeah.
his trust
Good point.
openly.
like it.
Yes,
Mhm.
agreed.
That's a beautiful thing.
right.
My mind is blown by the honesty that you're calling for, when also, kind of, to me, it's a little bit confusing, because you also say that there should be this mystery and the unspoken and the unknowable. I mean, how can you negotiate both of those? The complete honesty about every single sexual fantasy and act, but also that person who's elusive.
The goal is that these mysteries and fantasies, the fantasies become realized, right? You're not having fantasies that you're not sharing. If you're creating a fantasy with your sexual partner, it's because you actually are coming up with a plan. There could be lots of secrets around the surprise party, but then the secret's revealed, right? You're not really lying to them forever and having a completely different fantasy life that they're not a part of.
But if you're
I
having
happen to think that honesty is the foremost requirement and really the most important quality in a partner.
And respect.
But the mystery happens because we're all bottomless and because we're all unknowable. So no matter how much you're actually going to say, you're not saying anything. I think that's the limitation of the partner who gets frightened because you're super honest with them. the partner doesn't understand that you're super honest in that moment, in that setting, in that consciousness, but like a week later, that honesty may be completely different. So long as you remain honest, doesn't mean that you're going to be predictable.
The honesty, by the way, is with yourself.
Right. It's with yourself.
And nobody really likes an overshares.
I like overshare.
No, not all the time.
Well, I don't know what an overshare is, but like I really appreciate
those
an
people that are
honest
constantly
partner.
honest at all time. Hey, today I thought about doing, you know. Like,
Oh no. Yeah,
let's not overkill. You know,
Right, yeah.
balance. You know what you need to be honest about.
Right,
You know when you're
exactly.
stepping outside of the lines of what you should know who you're with too, and know
Right.
what they would feel they would want to know about and be a part of.
But I will take the
So
confession.
about
so
that.
the honesty is sort of like mitigated by what you think that they want to hear.
No, I think
No,
it's,
not at
I
all.
think it's really
No.
just custom
No.
to each
No.
relationship
No.
and how they know their partners, and you know you're still growing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you know yourself most, and if you think that these centerfold magazines are what really get you off in bed, if you don't
It's
share,
good
if
that you share
let's,
it.
Let's just take a scenario. If he didn't share that with her,
Right.
and then he underperforms in the bedroom, she might get a complex thinking, I'm not enough and I'm doing something wrong and I don't make him happy. But it's not that. He could just have this addiction to porn for so long, and he's not open with her about it, so he's holding back because he doesn't want to seem like he's cheating, learning so much on the magazine. You know, like there's so many
She's
things
feeling
that get in your head.
insecure because she's comparing herself to these, centerfolds. She should keep in mind that they are edited and they're filtered and they are, whatever, washed, by all the printing processes. They're not right there. They're not next to her, making her feel insecure or threatened. She should, in fact, be empowered by the fact that she's the only flesh and blood girl there, and they're just images that make her hotter. So that's fine.
Whoa.
Yeah, by proxy.
I'm
By proxy.
I'm kind
Because
of in
what he's
agreement with you,
doing
but,
is like he's
but,
looking
but,
at the
but.
centerfold and then he's putting on her like the face of his girl. But that's like,
She's gaining.
right, she's gaining. She's not losing. And I think definitely she's gaining from the honesty, that he's not like doing it behind her back. But I personally believe strongly radical honesty, meaning as much honesty as you're capable of, is a turn on.
And also, 19-year-old, don't just get comfortable with the fact that you're purely flesh and blood.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
the girls on the
Yeah.
magazines might
Yeah.
be edited, but
Yeah.
there's always room for self-improvement. But do it for yourself.
Right.
Do it for yourself. Be as good as the...
Oh my God, 19. Can you imagine 19?
There's nothing wrong
she
with
has
her
the
at
perfect
19.
boobs.
She'll be
Everything is pointing upward.
20
instead of
years
now.
go by in a flash.
She's like all
You're
perfect.
telling
Never
us
stop being your
Zero
best
gravity.
self. Never stop self-improving.
You're fine, babe, is my
But
opinion.
honesty, respect, and loyalty, I think,
Yeah.
are the most important things in any relationship.
Right.
And
Well, for me, respect is the honesty. Because if you're honest, that's the best loyalty you can give. You don't want to give a forced loyalty because you think that's what's required, and then both of them become either codependent or, fake to themselves, unable to face their own truths because they feel like they have to be loyal because that's the setup. Just be honest.
But it should be a goal. I mean, why get in a relationship if
honest.
you just want to be independent? I mean, nobody really wants
No,
to
of
be
course,
alone.
but that's the honesty.
You want
That's
to build
where
a community.
Right, that's where the honesty is. If you're honest...
But don't be afraid to be, without becoming honest, don't be afraid that it leads to codependency. It's coexistence.
Okay, coexistence and codependency are very different. Codependency comes from the fear of being truthful, so you you squeeze yourself into this.
But it is the
places
only
that are
way
not
to
natural
coexist.
to you.
To properly coexist, you must be
No, I don't
honest.
agree with that at all. I think codependent is sick, coexist is healthy.
Right. But the only way to coexist is to be honest. That's what I
Yeah,
said. I didn't say
exactly.
codependency.
Yeah.
But the dependency word is it's like a term it makes people feel fearful of coexisting. Everyone thinks they have to be so independent in every relationship.
No,
That's
you
not
can't
how it
be
works.
independent
You
in
have
a
to
relationship.
you have to bring your best self to the
Right,
scenario
exactly.
and
And compromise.
and see what you build together to
Right.
build one united front.
Right.
You're a team.
Right, you're a team. Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to play alone.
Well, I don't know. I like to play alone. I go to those art openings alone always. Then I don't have to feel bad if I leave.
Then you
with
can slip your
someone.
panties into anyone's pocket.
Now I know why I should be wearing panties. I didn't understand that before.
Now you know why all these companies
There's
make the
the
cheap
rationale.
panties. Because
so
if you gave
glad
away
That's
a
why
pair of
Victoria's
panties a day,
Secret happens. We're not giving
imagine
away
giving
our
away La
living
Perla every
people.
day. You know,
Oh,
you'd be
yeah.
living in a box.
Right, that's expensive. Yeah. You wear the panties so you can leave it in the pocket of the guy you like. Ooh.
So when we go out as Victoria's
Enlightenment.
Secret, we keep the La Perla in the purse.
The
No.
smart
In
ones,
case.
the smart ones wear the La Perla and keep a scented
Damn.
cheap one in their
Oh my God.
pocket.
Scented?
Oh,
What do you mean by
scent,
scented?
natural
Oh, you
scented.
scent everything.
Scent?
Yeah, but naturally
Scent of
scented.
what?
Like you
Like-
wore it all day.
Your
And it
Oh my
has
God,
your,
that's so much work.
That.
But that's for
Oh
real.
my God, the pheromones. You'll have the homeless lining up out the street. You
No,
don't want-
that is
it's
the
like putting
way.
a scent to the
That's
dogs.
way too
That
much
is the
work
way.
for
If
me.
you
Use
want to
panties, I don't know. I would put a little
I
bit
do
of
not
like
pre-plan that
perfume or powder, you know, the powdered perfume kind of
Are
thing.
you kidding
If
me?
you're gonna
I
do
have to
it,
wear
wear
the
the
panty,
panties.
and
Yeah.
then I have
Okay.
to take
Yeah.
the panty off and keep
So
it in
don't
my
listen to the
purse.
guy in the room,
Yeah.
but I'm telling you what you should do.
scented panties, scented sheets.
Personally,
Buy
I don't
them
believe in
24 at a
expensive
pack.
underwear.
Unless
sorry.
you're going to some fetish party, don't carry a pair of dirty panties.
I agree. I never carry any. I mean, I don't.
I
like
prefer
to
not
wear
to call
panties,
them dirty,
period.
but I prefer to call
Yeah,
them
you-
naturally scented.
Naturally scented. Agreed.
Well,
However,
the guys who actually are after those, they want the dirty panties.
true.
So call them dirty panties. If you say naturally scented panties, that vegan is not going to
We're-
please you.
That vegan.
We're not going to say anything. We're just going to do it. We're
I
going to drop
do not.
it in.
I do not believe personally in the panties fetish. I think that takes the woman out of the story. Like all these girls who wear the panties and then mail them to guys for like $20. Oy vey.
Those are guys in prison.
Is it where they are? I don't know. I have had no exposure to
And
this.
That's
those
not a
at all.
fetish. That's
Those
desperation.
girls wear their panties.
They
right?
wear them
Yeah.
and then they mail them, and like mother and daughter
And it's vice versa,
and
by the way.
sister. It could be
Listen.
like a whole family enterprise.
Nice work if you can get it.
No.
You can get
easy,
it.
easy money.
I wouldn't.
Dirtypanties.com.
I don't recommend it. Please don't.
You're now a sponsor
They'll
of
have your DNA.
dirtypanties.com.
Shit, man, that's so complicated.
All right. Oh, this is right up the alley of this conversation. I slept with this guy on the first date. Will he think I'm a total slut?
Ooh, that's one for Fabi.
This is
He's the
amazing.
guy.
I just really can't even
But let me
believe we
ask
still
you.
have this word slut.
Oh,
you know?
stop it. That word's
No.
not going away. And they can
And we
give
have the
7
first
other
date.
words to like replace it. And that's, you can't tell people to stop thinking. You know, you
Right.
smell bacon. You say bacon. You're not going
Right.
to be like,
I know a lot of
Come
girls
on.
who
Yeah.
say, I'm not going to sleep with anyone after like 7 dates or 10 dates. They all have a rule, like a
Right.
golden rule made up in practice, I guess. And as much as they may want the guy and completely be crazy, they will not
You're
sleep with
kidding
him
me.
on the first date.
So
no.
here's the thing. I'm not saying that the word
Well, I mean,
should
have you slept with a
disappear.
guy on the first date?
Always.
Yeah.
That's why I'm married.
You should drink to that.
But no,
Always.
I'm not saying that the word should disappear. Obviously, we can't, circumscribe language. But I'm saying that the concept.
well, people aren't going to
of-
stop being sluts.
So what does that mean?
What? Okay, so Fabi, your opinion
Yeah.
on sleeping on the first date?
I really do think it's very independent. It's unique to the situation.
Okay,
I mean,
good. I agree.
You know,
yeah.
if you're young and just starting out, you want to get to know. You still have that puppy love, that romantic idea. Enjoy that as well.
Yeah.
If you've been around the block and then some, and you don't have time to waste, wouldn't you like to know if you're physically compatible before date number 7? I mean, that's a whole week of
Totally.
your life you're
Totally.
wasting in dog
Totally.
years.
Oh
times
yeah,
7.
if you can stand that person every
You
day
know,
of
why
the
put
week.
yourself through the torture? I
Yeah,
mean,
it could be like 7 weeks.
I think at a
Because
certain
most of us
stage of
can't
your life,
go out on a date
you can
every
smell
day.
whether you want them or not. And if you don't,
You should try it
Thank them
out
nicely
at least once,
and
even
say
though
goodbye.
I must say, this is very important.
It's always
you
gonna-
cannot judge
Right.
whether or not you're sexually compatible with someone on the first or second or third try.
Conversely,
The first
it could be
time
super hot.
and the second
first
time and the third time, he's fucking you the way he fucked his previous girlfriend.
I love
That's
that you
the
say
last
that.
body he
That's
knows.
good. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of
rote.
like grooming, and growing your partner, you need to do it a few times, and you need to be patient, and you need to understand that he's just finding you out.
It's a training
But
process.
yeah, I mean, again, as you said,
Mutually
sometimes
training.
the first time is like, all fireworks,
Right.
right? And again, you can't really judge because it could be the high of like getting you to sleep with them. So you need to give it a few tries.
Also,
so if you're going to wait 7 dates and then give it another 7 sexual times before you actually have a good sense of how it is sexually, that's a lot of time invested. So he better be worth it.
Let's just analyze the question a little bit because where is it here?
Is she a slut?
Okay.
She's asking.
But here's what she's leaving out.
She's given
okay?
no information.
So you're
right?
giving me this. This is what goes through my head. As a guy, I mean, if you asked me this question, you're asking if you're a total slut because you slept with a guy on the first date.
Yeah.
Now, was it the guy that really turned you on? Were you
Right.
excited?
Right.
Was it an older
Good
guy that took you to
point.
an expensive dinner?
Oi.
What was the scenario? Because if she's asking this question, I mean, if she was so into it and it was just a mutually like
She wouldn't be asking the question.
exciting and compatible situation, she wouldn't be asking for it. I have a friend right now. What time is it right now?
3
on a
p.m.
blind date. On a blind date for lunch. We were talking yesterday, and I'm like, where are you going? And he said the name of this restaurant that this person recommended. I'm not going to say which is the boy recommended, the girl recommended, or whether they're 2 boys or 2 girls. Let's just leave it.
Right.
This person met somebody on one of these
Apps,
dating
apps.
sites.
Yeah.
And they decided to meet for lunch
Mm-hmm.
and noticed in one of the profile pictures that the other person has a private plane. Illusion of a private plane. It could be a company jet. I mean, you don't know anyone's
knows?
personal
Could be a
business.
share.
Green screen.
Whatever
yeah.
it is,
Could be a drone.
whatever it is, this person picked the most expensive Michelin star restaurant in town. And I looked at this person and I said,
That's your friend now who picked
do
the
you
restaurant.
understand it's your friend too?
It's messaging.
It's my friend too.
And I said,
Oh,
do
now I
you
wanna know.
realize, I mean, and they're asking my advice. And I'm like, why do people have it so wrong? Like, why do people have it so wrong? Why would you ever, I said, you know what you want to do if you actually want to salvage this? You go there and you don't order anything.
Yeah.
Order one drink and say, I
Yeah.
just came to people watch. Why would you? It's so
I agree.
tacky.
I agree.
By the way,
I
if you
agree.
do order something, you better be on your knees at the end of that day.
Okay, no.
Yes, yes,
no.
yes.
Lost me.
You want to act like that? You better act like that.
I agree.
It's the
that
equivalent of what she's
do
saying.
not spend the money of your date because then you will just feel more beholden.
No.
But I don't think that
Don't
the solution
go
is
somewhere on
exactly.
a first date that you don't go to on a daily basis. Now, if
Agree.
you have
I
your
totally
table
agree
there
with
and
that.
it's your thing and
Yeah.
you're planning to
Yeah.
invite them,
Yeah.
by all means.
Yeah, and then take out your credit card.
But how embarrassing, how tacky,
How tacky.
how falsely, how misrepresentative of who you are. How I mean, these
I
are the
agree
dates
with
that
all
don't
of that.
last.
But do not have an expensive meal and then give a blowjob. No, please. We've passed
She
beyond.
just did, and this is your friend.
She did the meal.
Oh no,
but
she
not
went
the
all the
BJ.
way. She didn't just blow him. She gave the whole
Oh,
thing
she
away.
gave the whole thing away.
This is your friend on
for
that
the
question.
Michelin.
She gave away
No,
the cow.
mine.
Oh, this one.
Mine asked for my
Mine.
advice, so mine's going to behave today. Your friend on this
Oh,
question
this is not my
here,
friend. This is my
your
listener.
caller, your
right.
listener.
Yeah.
She put out because he took her somewhere.
You
That's
think?
what I'm led to believe. Now,
I don't know.
now
Who
what
knows?
she left out
we,
of
do,
this is
we don't have
what
that
she left out of
information.
this question was the detail. I really like this guy, and I think he really liked me. So we slept together on the first date.
Will he misunderstand me?
No, because what does
Well,
it say
that's
about
another
him?
thing,
He's
you
a
know.
player because he slept on the first date, and you're a
Yeah.
slut because he's. I mean,
Well,
if you-
see, by
if
the way,
both
that's
people
another
really
of the
liked each
double
other-
standards between the genders. You know, if a guy sleeps with a girl the first time, it's like he scored. There is no shame. But if she sleeps with a guy, she gives it away too soon, and then she feels like he's going to disrespect
It's
her.
not true.
That's what I feel is interesting
It's
about
not
the
true.
question. It's will
Yeah.
he think, and
Correct.
it's not what she thinks of herself.
But she
It's about
obviously thinks that of
perception.
herself.
It's
because she did
is
it for
he
the
gonna
wrong reasons.
right? She's wondering,
Yeah.
is he gonna think that she does the same thing with everybody?
Right. Well, the sort of meta question that I have is like, okay, what is a date anymore? And then also, like, what is she looking for? I mean, some people go on dating just to have
a date
sex.
is where you are alone for the first time for a long time and talk about yourselves and kind of get to know each other.
So what is the current
informally.
landscape? I mean, I've been out of the game for a while, for 20 years. So I'm
Not
like,
here's-
quite.
here's-
She's exaggerating.
here's how a
I'm
date works.
surprised
She's
that this, no, I'm
exaggerating.
surprised
Here's how
that
a
this
date
is still the
works.
same, like, kind of weird.
And by the way,
you know,
my friend who I mentioned, it's a man in his 50s going on a date with another man in his 60s.
Wow.
Just to put it in perspective.
That's hard.
It's not the innocent, 20-year-old girl going out with
ingenue.
the movie executive. It's the mentality. That
the movie executive.
So let me give
in
you the scenario of how it should
era.
work. Here's how it should work. This is how a date works. I met you, or we were introduced, but I'm certain I'm going to be interested. I'm going to call you. I'm not going to text you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to invite you out. I'm going to let you know what time I think is best because I'm going to take you somewhere where I know and I want to create the setting. And I'll know that this restaurant at this hour is going to be a perfect intimate setting for us. I'm going to ask you if you're available.
And it'll be a restaurant that you frequent.
I'm going to take you to
It's
get...
not an
I want you to get to
aspirational-
know me.
Right.
I'm going to want you to get to know me. I'm not going to live above or below my means, and I'm not going to trick you. I want you to get to know me. Then I'm going to pick you up.
He's
I'm
a
going to
real
get
gentleman.
out of the car. I'm going to
talking to a
open the door.
conservative gentleman.
I will take you to dinner. I will ask you what you like. Then I will suggest what you should have on the menu because I've been here. And I'll order for you.
Yeah.
You'll fucking love it.
Yeah.
We'll have great conversation. We'll go after dinner to some dive bar that I frequent. We'll have greater conversation.
Excuse me.
And that's how you'll know that I'm interested. If we do that after dinner drink somewhere, if the conversation keeps going, then I'll take you home. The very next day, I will thank you.
Wait,
I will
take
call
you home and sleep with you.
Not at all. I will call you the next day. I
Take
will
you
tell
home and
how
kiss
much
you
I
at your
enjoyed.
doorstep. Oh my God, we're going
No.
into like a black and white
No.
movie.
You say goodnight. The very next day, I'll thank you for a great evening and let you know I want to spend more time, and I'll invite you away for the weekend.
Fabi,
You come
You know
or
why
don't.
you're saying this? Because every girl listening is going to want your number. They're going to see you, and then they're going to hear this, and then they'll be like...
I hope more than that girls at least hold out for the guys that do it right. And I also hope that the guy listeners get in line. I mean, who
Yes, man
taught
up.
you these manners, these monsters out there, these entitled millennials that think they can go on an app and that's all they need to do?
Yeah, let's talk more about the entitled men. Since we've been talking about the
Entitled
lazy
women.
women.
So
all the
I would
time.
say that I in the textbook scenario and how people like to talk about it, I probably have more right to be entitled than most. And that's how I would take someone out. And if I don't take you out like that, I'm not interested in you, and you should know that right off the bat. So the other ones are fake entitled.
So if you sleep with someone on the first date, would you think of yourself as a slut?
Would you, Fabi?
Well, here's the thing. I would never sleep with anyone for any other reason than the fact that I purely was interested in the
Desired
physicality of
and
it, and I
physically.
wanted it.
Right, and let's assume
And then
that
I
she
would be the
did
biggest
same.
slut they've ever been with and make sure they never forget that moment. I've literally had people the very next day move in and never look left or right again because I'm the one they want to be with for the rest of their lives.
What's your magic?
He's that good in bed, I guess.
Honesty. I tell them straight up who I am, what I expect, how I like to live, and what I'd expect from them. If I find them interesting enough to share that with. I'm also not looking for that on a daily basis. If I just
Yeah, of
want
course,
some sport
yeah.
and to have a good
Right.
time,
If you're looking for that
Why
on a
not?
daily basis,
You
then
know?
you're
Right.
insincere, period. You can't look for that on a daily basis.
but I've only been in maybe 6 or 7 relationships in my life, but I've been married for 20 years and I'm not really searching, you know? And I enjoy my friendships. I enjoy my time with everyone that's in my life. I don't have relationships on any level just for the sake of having them.
Anyway, to go back to the question about slut,
Yeah.
I think that everyone is allowed to sleep on the first date if it's for the right reasons. If it's because you're so turned on, you're moved, you're excited, you haven't been with someone so interesting, and then you say that
You're
share that.
overwhelmed.
You say, so the next time you see this guy, you tell him, "Oh my God, like I just got so turned on and
Right.
excited, and you
overwhelmed me.
Right. And you interested me on so many levels, and there were so many connections, and it was late, But I don't do that with
so the
everyone I
reason,
meet.
your motivation for having sex
Exactly.
is what
If
determines
you
your
have-
slut factor.
Exactly. That's what I think. But if the next day you're going to do it with another guy on the first date, or if you get, sleep with anyone when you get drunk, for example, if you're not able to have like sober sex and then you self-medicate and you don't think about about it, then it's an issue of self-respect, for you.
You're just sad. It doesn't
Right.
matter whether you're a slut or not. You're just sad and lonely.
So a slut, that's what a slut, it's a terrible word, but that's why it becomes a 4-letter word.
And
But
it's
it-
important to
because-
talk
but
about
it
it because we
means
need to
that-
tell the young women who are
Right.
growing into
Right.
the world as
So if
sexual
you
beings.
do not respect your body, then there is this like sharp dichotomy within you of you, your mind, your sense of self, and your body, which you
and you
disrespect.
know it when it happens.
And you turn your body
people tend to lie
into
to
something
themselves,
trashy.
but like
you
then
know,
you write
give,
to Eve
when
and
we
ask,
say
"Am I a
exactly,
slut?"
yeah. When you write and you ask, it's because you feel that you're giving it away, and it's not it. It's you.
Are we still using the
Right?
terminology "giving it away"?
But the
Yes,
important,
why not?
yes, we are.
Why?
How many words do you
I
need to
agree
rephrase?
with you.
I mean,
But
I
the
don't
thing
get
is,
it.
it's not it. I think the important thing here is the moment she understands there is no it. It's all I, right? Then you don't give yourself away. It's not just the body. The vagina is not separate from all of you, So would you give you away? There is no it.
And the funny
is
thing
there
is giving
or is
it
it
away is a
lending?
nice.
Is
Here's
it-
no. You're having it. It's not giving.
There's
You're
no
not really
lending,
giving.
no.
You're not
There's
really
no
giving
lending.
yourself away. That's just like something that like moms don't know how to say to girls at a certain
Right.
point. Don't give it away. What they're saying is, stop cheapening yourself.
Right.
All
It's
you
all
do is
yourself.
disrespect
It's
yourself,
yourself.
because
Right.
you feel like you have no self-worth. And that's in
Right.
anything they do. I
Yeah.
mean,
Anything,
this question,
anything
if the
you
moment
do,
was right,
if
if
you're
the
not
relationship
cut
and the
up in
connection was right,
pieces
you
and
wouldn't
you're
have to ask this
whole,
question.
you will know what to do if you understand yourself as whole and not as bits and pieces.
And by all means, both people in that relationship, if it feels right, when you're in the bedroom, be
Yeah.
the biggest sluts you can
Yeah,
be.
of course.
Make it as fun as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Point.
Can
Once
I-
you have a partner, you can be as slutty as you can, and you should be to keep it alive long term. What?
So sluttiness within a relationship just means that you're just like being super open, but a sort of slut in terms of like demographically or politically means that you are not giving it to the people who deserve it.
Well, I feel that if you don't worry about it, then it's okay. But the moment you worry about it, there is something that's not right for you, right?
And when you're thinking about sex on a political level, you've got bigger problems. I mean, it's not. It's,
Well, I feel like when you use
not
the
that
word
complicated.
when you use the word slut to describe somebody outside of yourself, then it is political. Then it is, then it is sort of you're categorizing somebody,
yeah.
and it's outside of. You can call yourself a slut,
But
but
I
the
don't know
minute
that
that
you're
you call
categorizing-
somebody
Right,
else a
I
slut,
agree,
you're making a judgment call.
Yeah, you're making a
and
judgment
that is
call
political.
about someone's morality.
Absolutely.
And sexuality should not be morality.
so
Absolutely.
It's
what would you
personal.
say to this person?
Sexuality
You're not a
is
slut.
personal.
You're just an insecure, self-disrespecting
Well, first
person.
of all,
No,
I don't-
what
needs
we
to go
would say
home.
to this person is it depends on the
You would
conditions
reassure
that
her
we
and
don't
make her
know.
feel better about herself. That's what you would do.
I agree
No,
with you
we
that
would
it
ask more
definitely-
questions. We would say,
If you
who
went out
is
with
it?
this guy that you were not interested in, and then you slept with him anyway, you're not a slut. You're just dumb.
I just don't have judgment about these
Yeah,
kinds of
me
things.
neither.
She's asking
know?
to be
Me neither.
judged. She's
asking.
She's asking,
She's
do you
asking-
think that he thinks that I'm a slut?
Exactly.
And so
She's asking.
She's asking if there is
She's
like-
inviting the judgment.
No,
Well-
she's asking if there is a golden mean, if like socially we have,
Right.
a rule, let's say, or an assumption that if you sleep with someone right away, you're not a proper or good girl.
Right.
We have a rule to respect yourself.
What does that mean? I keep hearing respect yourself, and I'm not on board with that language. I don't really. And
So,
then,
would you go out with a guy who you were moderately attracted to, who took you out for a nice evening, and then sleep with him as a thank you?
No.
Not as a thank you.
Why,
No,
why
as
not?
a thank
would
you
you
is-
sleep with him, period?
Yes.
I guess I just
not
don't,
as a thank you.
I
But
don't
why?
have this as a thank you
No.
or this sort of transactional.
Then
This is not even in my
Let's
milieu.
just say you went
Me
out to
neither.
dinner.
I don't
gross.
know.
Would you
Yeah.
sleep with a guy for any reason that
As
you
a
were just
thank you?
moderately attracted to, who took you out to dinner tonight?
Oh my God, with the dinner. That's why I don't go out to dinner
Oh
with
my
anybody.
gosh.
Took you out for lunch.
I don't go out
Bought
to
you a
lunch either.
bracelet. I mean,
Oh my God, with the buying of the things.
it's what they did.
They went out on a
You
date.
went out for a free coffee at a free event. You went out with someone you found moderately attracted to. Would you go home and sleep with him?
Well, I think that the date doesn't have to be anything of transaction of
Correct.
money.
A
It could be at
free
a park.
art, a free
Okay.
art event. We're
Okay,
going to see
to a
Eve's new
picnic.
exhibit.
We're going to
Yeah.
a picnic.
Free open to the public.
Right. And if there was an
You're-
incredible attraction.
No, I said moderately attracted to. You're moderately attracted to the
why
person.
are you putting that restriction?
Well, that's-
on
that's
the
the
That's my
scenario?
question.
That's
I'm
the
not. I'm just
question.
changing the question. I would just like to know you.
Oh, you want to know me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
Oh,
you?
Okay, let's talk.
Would you go on a date with someone, find them moderately attractive?
I would never sleep with anyone I was moderately attracted to.
You don't really see a future,
No.
but he's there. Would you just sleep with him that night?
Of course not.
Why not?
Because I need to feel 110% attracted. But because it's
But
not
why
gonna be
wouldn't
fun,
you
because
just
it's
do
not
it
gonna
anyway?
because it's not going to be fun for me. I'm not going to feel. It's not going to be sexually satisfying.
But if you
Now,
haven't,
let's say you
that
did-
you
let's
haven't
say
had
you
sex
did. How would
in,
you
like,
feel about
Let's say
yourself?
that you haven't had sex in like a year.
I honestly don't think I would be judging myself either way.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
You would
judge
just sleep with
myself.
them and just drop it?
No, I'm saying you're asking me if I would ever sleep with someone who's moderately attractive to me, and I would say never. I would never do that.
Because it wouldn't be fun.
Right.
But if you
wouldn't be sexually
actually-
fun.
And if you found yourself in a vulnerable situation or having an awkward day or just feeling a little needy for attention or just another human's touch and you ended up sleeping with that person, what would you think about it the next day? Would you understand that maybe you just needed that?
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't
would you
judge
understand
myself.
it?
Of
No,
course.
you would just pass it. You would say, hey,
I needed touch.
I needed some
Yeah,
touch and I'd
sure.
get over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
for
I don't
sure.
have any judgments when it comes to
Which
sexuality
I
unless
also-
you're hurting someone.
I also agree with. However, when I read this question, which is not painting the right picture, I am only responding in a way thinking that when this guy took her on a date, it was someone who actually, set up the whole date.
Right, you're bringing in your conception of date.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
is the
he is.
beginning
Well, how
of a
people date today.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And, that's why all these guys are out there making more money and impressing the ladies and
Right.
thinking that gets them laid.
Yeah.
And then there's these girls that go out there and then they do it anyway because, I felt bad. He spent all that money on me.
That's a
It
crazy
happens.
world,
I
man.
just
I'm
want to
happy
take this
I'm not in
microphone
that
and hit them
world.
on the head.
It's
Wow.
very,
How
very,
old are
very,
you?
very common.
I'm old enough.
We're
Oh,
old
a
enough.
guy who won't. I'm 48, so I'm.
We're not telling
I'm
our
easy
age.
for.
But-
I don't care. But it's a generational thing, Also, it's like I'm old enough to realize that that we got so much shame when we were younger that now I'd like to see a new sort of playing field where men, and we're not even having this discussion, where these questions are very shocking to me.
Well,
Am
I think
gay?
that the problem.
Am I a
the
slut?
questions
felt
have
like
not
we were
changed. No, the questions have
incredible,
not changed.
incredible.
Yeah. Wait. I
You would
haven't-
think people get more
Because
interesting
also my
over time,
my
right?
daughter is so evolved. I find this to be so
I didn't even
backward.
print the questions about I've not had an orgasm. I don't know how to come because I wouldn't want you guys
It's
to go into that.
unbelievable.
But that's very, very common.
Crazy.
Do not sleep with any asshole. Is a thank you, ladies out there. You do not owe anybody the dinner money with your body. Just buy him dinner the next time. That's it.
Are women actually?
Why can't you just say thank you for dinner and just not sleep with him?
That's fine. But if she feels that she owes him
I need to
something,
know-
pay
tit for
him in
tat.
kind.
It's not tit for tat.
It's not. But
If you're not
pay him in
interested, don't
kind.
go out with him again. You don't owe
Exactly.
him
Agreed.
50% because he took a chance on you.
I agree with that too. But whatever it is, however you interpret that, you do not have to give your body in exchange for free drinks or free weed or a ticket to a concert or a fancy dinner.
If I was dating
That
back
is
in college, if I was dating
unacceptable.
someone, if I was dating a girl, and we go out all the time, and we kind of go out to the big clubs and the big parties, and there's the doorman, the famous doorman waiting at the front.
famous doorman. Yeah.
If any girl, not just one I'm dating, any girl in my group of friends so much as flirted or gave kisses to the doorman without us actually over years getting to know them and them actually becoming friends of ours, but just flirting with the doorman to get in,
Yeah.
I flip out on them and I send them home.
Wow.
This
What a feminist you are.
Strict feminist.
Strict.
I know the dangerous
Don't use
kind.
your feminine
I
wiles.
know, because he's still a dude. Yeah.
Because he's scared of the feminine wiles. I'm just kidding.
No, it's not true. I actually
No.
like women
Yeah,
and
he
I
likes
want to
women.
respect them.
I agree
actually
with
want
this
to look at them with
specifically.
admiration,
Right.
and I don't anymore. And I think it's really sad.
That's weird. I'm very caught off guard by your sort of perception of women as not respecting themselves, and it really might be just a
For me,
it's
women
just
today
a consequence
are
of
so
the
cheap
bubble
and
that I live in.
desperate
I don't know
and
what's going on
lazy
out there.
and insecure and
No, it's not the bubble you're in. No,
I'm
it's
just in a married
interesting.
bubble, but this
I'm
whole
married.
world that you're
I
just
actually look at my wife and I look at I think she's how women should be.
right.
And
So
it's not just because I care for her.
Right.
It's because she actually is
Well,
what women aspire to be or should
clearly,
be.
your standards are very high in terms of
Yeah.
respect. So I wouldn't
Yeah,
think
no,
you'd
they're
be with
dangerously
anybody.
high because he has moments when he reminds me of my father, and that's not a compliment. But
Yeah.
then he has moments when he's like the freest, most
And yet you love
liberated,
me.
most. I do
Right.
love you.
Well, that's the rub, right? Like
no.
you
Yeah,
know.
like my when I say my dad, like the way my dad made me want to rebel.
Right. There's
Right.
a lot of machismo.
Yeah,
That's
there
it.
is
There's so
machismo,
much
that's the
machismo.
word. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's the best kind of machismo.
It's the worst because it's hidden by enlightenment. It's trying to be sort of
I don't
it's
think it's
close.
Describe to me
I
your
don't think
definition
I don't think
of
it's the worst.
machismo.
I'm going to
I'll
say.
tell you right now.
Okay.
I think that when there is a standard that women are held to that has to do with respectability and pride and honor that is tied into sexuality. The minute that you make that connect between honor, pride, and respect and sexuality, that's a danger zone.
It is
then
a
we're
danger
into
zone.
Islam world. We're into look. We're in a dangerous zone, and I'll put that challenge to you.
So my response to that, I guess, is I would feel like the machismo type of guys almost limit women to be or keep them where they think they should be and don't allow them out of that position. And they're only to feel as great and must be as worthy as I
allow them
produce
to be.
and allow them to be.
Right.
Right?
Well, I
Would
think,
you think that's kind of a machismo?
I think that's a separate. I think that's a separate point, right?
And also another thing, sorry to interrupt,
So-
but an important thing here is that when because I'm very, very keenly aware of it because I had that father, it's not
too, by the
about
way.
your honor. It's about the man's honor.
That's why
So,
that question was
hold
posed
on.
So
that way.
So
it's
just to
about
kind of go back to
everything you
answering-
do speaks to the
Represents
honor of the
the
man
cattle,
who
the chattel.
owns you.
Right.
Okay, so I don't
don't think Fab
I
is
don't
like
know
that.
that I'm very. I may have very strong values, and I don't know that I budge. I'm not very compromisable,
Which is respectable.
But I met my wife, and we were friends before we decided to get romantic. And she was always
A rebel.
the type of person. She wasn't a rebel in the way that you think, though. She always had the same values and morals and integrity and character and self-respect that she does today.
Right, but she was a rebel
That,
toward
by
her
the way-
dad, and she loved you, and that says something about you, which I think that
No.
you're not that type of
I
macho.
can explain that because that's not a one-line thing, and
Okay,
that certainly
okay,
doesn't have
okay.
anything
Well, we
to
don't
do
have
with
to
this.
explain.
Yeah,
No,
without
I'm happy to, 'cause
biography.
it's
No,
important.
Yeah, we
without
don't need
biography.
Let me just get
yeah.
to this. That's what I found sexy and admirable about her. Now, put all of that into a goddess-like figure, and sorry, I have my cake and eat it too, but that's what interested me in her. I went to school in Malibu. Everyone was blonde and cute and, had that look. She was the most exotic and most beautiful of them all because she had the whole package. And we related on a lot of our common values and morals and expectations of life and future.
Right.
Her rebellion, if you would say she was a rebel, was more like she didn't want to grow up. Small town people tend to have, and she's from a very important small town. She's not like Podunk. And she comes from a family that can be very consuming, or you can assume that they are very consuming. They're very not. I mean, they're just lovely people, and it's very unusual that two sides of the families get along so well. And she just wanted some time to find herself, and her family's expectations were that she'd stay at home, eventually work for a family business, or marry one of their friends. either option. She wanted to get out of a small town, like most small town people do, and go find herself. And she did. And she found a life that she enjoyed. She grew a lot as a person. And part of our bond is that we understood each other and we were always honest about what we wanted in life. And we became best of friends, and that grew into a relationship.
I'm going to say for the
But she
record,
never
because I know
disrespected
her
herself
very
in
well,
rebellion.
that you're extremely honest in a way that's very, very, very unusual, to your credit. And most of, the guys we're talking about, the stereotypical macho guys, are not. And B, you have given her a lot of freedom and, the capacity to like change and grow and become whoever she is, again, in a way that's not at all controlling. So even though you do sound a certain way, like straight out of a playbook,
all I have
in
is
practice,
what's happening
he's
here.
not.
And in modern day and 20 years ago, I've also not only supported her independence, but not from our family situation. Once you're a family unit, your loyalties and priorities change. But I've always given her freedom to think and have her own opinions. And I've also given her financial independence for me, which she could leave me
and
anytime.
her sexual freedom, which is what we're talking about. She has that. They both have that. So that's what's
the
unique
only
and
rules that we
beautiful.
have, which are not really rules, they're not actually rules. They're something that we actually want for each other, is what keeps us together. The honesty, the love, the friendship, the similar.
No, I'm not questioning your personal life. I'm only questioning the comments that you bring to the table. That's all. And I just want to keep it like less biographical and more argumentative, if you will. So, right.
Let's get another
let's
question.
pick another
yeah.
fight.
There's so many.
So my friend is dating a guy who verbally abuses her. Heavy. He's always criticizing her and says she's lucky he sticks around despite her faults. Ooh. The problem is she always comes to me and complains, yet won't take my advice and dump him. How can I stay her friend if she clings to this jerk?
It's very easy. Stop being her friend.
Oh, wow.
Withhold the friendship.
Don't actually stop being her friend, but cut her off and make her understand that there are consequences to being less than what you started as.
Wow, I'm so interested in this perspective.
Yeah, he's unique.
Yeah.
That's why
Watching
he's
someone
here.
deteriorate and humiliate themselves and
Yeah.
hurt themselves, it's like, look at an addict. I'm going to watch you kill yourself. I'm going to watch you be abused and disrespected.
Right.
No.
He's not an empath. I mean, at least not verbally. Is this the
Well,
hoovering
there's
part?
a different way of
Is this
empathing.
no,
It's
it's
just
the
a different
hoovering, and
result,
then comes
right?
what? The hoovering, and then
I
it's
don't
this
know that
discarding.
psycho language.
I'd have questions.
Because, like, a
These
lot of
questions
these
are
guys-
so complicated.
Right.
Do you know these people?
No, I don't know these people.
I would want to know if this person has any education whatsoever and what they do with their lives.
I don't know at all anything
We have
about
to take
her,
these at
but
face
I do
value and
feel that
extrapolate.
if the friend is being verbally abused, that means that they've already gone through the love bombing when the guy earned her trust by telling her what she wanted to hear
Okay,
and
these are
made
the
her completely
stages.
love him and give him her trust. He doesn't start day one by
These are the
verbally
lovely
abusing.
romantic stages.
Right.
To look
He
forward
doesn't
to.
like
I'm just
meet
loving
her
how it's going to
and-
be the guy's fault. He tricked her and then
No, but he
captured
doesn't.
her and
No
then kept
one,
her prisoner.
no one goes on the
because she's
proverbial.
lazy and she's a slut.
She's just insecure and uneducated.
She's
Oh my
she's
God.
just insecure.
I don't think that's true. This is what happens. The guy cannot go to the first and second day and be verbally abusing. No one, unless she's completely certifiable, therefore
Right.
not her friend, would
Right.
take that.
Yeah, and I would
So
pull her mental
he starts
health
with the
records
love
first.
bombing. She gives him her trust. She falls for what he promises. You know, I love you. You're the one for me. I'll be with you
Right.
forever. Then what he does next is usually some form of this hoovering, which is like bring him into his life completely.
The Hoover is a reference to the vacuum.
To the vacuum.
Okay.
Right? So he separates her a lot from her friends, from her habits, from her job, from whatever was giving her self-worth.
Right.
After that, he
It's
starts
like a
this-
cult.
It's just the formula. After that, he starts the discarding, which is when the verbal abuse happens. Most often, again, all of our
Make her
answers are
dependent.
statistically driven. What happens most commonly, since we don't know all the details. So he gets her to the place where she wants approval for him. He's the source of most love and approval. And then the verbal abuse begins, because that's how he destroys her self-worth and keeps her dependent on him. And after that, he feels like the huge power rush of, she's my slave. She's like, she's not going anywhere. I can call her names. I can verbally abuse her, and she can't leave me.
Is she a willing slave?
She's hooked.
Is she
No.
a bottom, or is she just hoodwinked?
It's mind fucking.
I think they deserve each other. I think they both hate themselves, and they deserve each other.
She's looking for logic, and there is no logic there anymore. That's what happens, Anyway, she has to tell her friend to dump the friend. She says that she tells him that, and then she won't dump him because clearly she's afraid of the unknown, of being alone, of the alternative. You get to the stage where you think like no one else will love you. Her job as her friend is to keep
stage
saying,
wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
They put you in that stage.
Yeah. Yes.
They.
Well,
Those
it's a
big,
guy
bad,
here.
mean
It could
men.
it could be a girl.
No, it's
specific.
First of all,
It's
this
specific,
is the kind
man.
of girl that
This
had her
question
parents
is a
her
guy.
whole life. Her parents her whole life said, the girl will come out in a pretty dress, and her mother might say, these are more mommy issues than daddy issues, and then she'll say, oh, but should you really wear your hair up? Or, like she never really felt loved or wanted by her family, and then she turned to a man for that comfort and
got broken.
and then she realized, well, men are the same, and oops, I need to be in a relationship, so I might as well. And then you get addicted to it. You don't even realize you get addicted.
I'm not a psychologist
Eval.
either, but women do this too. To men, it's not uncommon either way. It's just usually it's the women who ask the questions because women think about it more and are more emotional about it and obsessed about it more with the details. So that's why we get the questions from the women. But yeah.
You always end up being attracted to people that are most like what you know. You know how they say always girls date their dads and boys date their moms kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So she had a tough upbringing.
Okay, another question, please.
25-year-old girl. I've been married over a year. I love my husband and feel very lucky in my life, but I can't stop obsessing over my ex-boyfriends, stalking them, wondering if they miss me and still think of me. I even fantasize about them in bed with my husband. Ooh la la. I've come very close to calling a couple of them lately. What's going on? What do I do?
Keep the fantasy, don't call them.
Yeah, don't call them, I guess. But I mean, clearly that marriage, if it's only the first year and she's already fantasizing that instead of the husband, it's the ex-boyfriend and not one, but a few of them?
Is there a time?
That's not a great situation.
Is there a time frame for how long you should be completely happy with one person and when you can start fantasizing about somebody else?
Boredom should not come like the first year of marriage.
Well, it might not necessarily boredom. She just might need more. So think of ways to make your married life and sex life more interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe be honest.
Be honest.
Yeah,
tell him about your fantasies.
Yeah. And say,
you don't necessarily have to
Skype with the
ex-boyfriend. Don't put a face to the name. I mean, I don't know the partner, but maybe he's a jealous type. You don't necessarily want to, threaten the relationship. True. But find a way to make yours more interesting, and over time you'll stop thinking about the exes, or don't worry about it. It's just fantasy.
But she says that she's very close to calling them. So yeah, don't call them.
Well, you call them and then
unless you want to sabotage the marriage.
You're disloyal to the marriage.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe you made the wrong choice if this husband doesn't satisfy you.
And by the way, your exes, I mean, like most people in this country are not aging very well. So I'd really make sure you know what you're getting into before you leave someone that actually decided to marry you.
Yeah, well, I just feel that it's important, though, if it's only been a little over a year that they've been married, like before they have children, she should really look at that relationship fully with her eyes wide open, because it's not common that, your first year.
It's very early.
That's a really important thing to add
your
to
exes?
It. If you're going to start a family, you better be damn sure that this is the person that you want to stick with.
Exactly.
At least until your children reach that age where they can start their lives.
Yeah.
Can she be is there a type of person who can never be happy with one monogamous relationship, and should she be honest with him and say, let's open it up?
There can be, but she doesn't allude to that. You would think that it was someone who was like serial dating or dating more than one person at a time, whether honestly or dishonestly, most probably dishonestly, and misses that. It seems like she misses the risk element, which would be of someone, someone like that who like has one guy formally and then sleeps on the side, and she likes that kind of like free zone of risk involved with lying. It could be that that's what she
Also, if you're
from.
thinking of stepping out, don't think
He's not.
he's not thinking
Right.
the
Yeah.
same. And
Exactly.
be prepared before you unlock that door
Mm-hmm.
that you're ready for the consequences.
Exactly, absolutely.
I feel
yeah.
like these questions should be essays because we are reading a lot into them, and just readers out there, listeners out there, give us more information.
Yeah, they give very little, but
Yeah.
it's okay because this is actually a different type of question that you're about to ask now. But yeah, I feel that sure. Sorry. I feel that most people have a difficult time asking, so they try to like make it as quick as possible. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me get the next questions. I can ask.
But it's surprising they don't give a little bit more detail. This is what I mean. I don't really believe in talk therapy because I think you can tell your shrink anything. I like when
Are you a
there's...
therapist?
No.
Because you have a
Well,
psychological angle to
He happens
your-
to believe in psychology. I'm just
A
finding
lot,
that out. I didn't
yes.
know that.
Wait, I forgot where this came from, though. This was this.
I don't know.
Psychology.
but
Oh, so therapist, by the way.
I want to say that I don't believe in psychology.
Psychology is
I
bullshit.
Exactly. That's what I don't believe in
Re-
psychology.
rewrite the
Psychotherapy
narrative.
is bullshit.
Exactly.
Psychology isn't bullshit.
I believe in
There are
performance.
studies.
Right.
You can educate yourself.
I
and make
believe in
your own.
performance
But we know all of
psychology.
these,
Yeah,
that
we
we
know
need
all
a
of
new
this. We're all
narrative.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're all aware enough to understand
Yeah.
to agree
Yeah.
that yes, you should.
We're stuck in the
retrain-
ghetto of Freud.
You should
I don't
retrain
know if-
your
No,
you
I
should
don't agree.
retrain your neural pathways. You have to turn around the narrative.
I think
that
the
you
only way to do it
inherited.
is through drugs.
But there are other ways to do
People
it.
are very
They're-
blocked,
they're-
and you do. I mean, it can take years of
But
the
to
so-called
actually
common
like
therapy.
sit there and do the talk therapy and get
you
stuck
have
in
to
the old
trust
stories,
that person.
has
Okay,
cannot
therapy is
be in
bullshit.
charge. Exactly. So that's what we're talking about.
Okay,
We're
you said
talking about
psychology
talk
was bullshit.
therapy.
That's-
We're talking about talk therapy and
100%
trusting
bullshit.
and a psychologist in any such way, right? But also the repetition, which becomes self-sabotage
Absolutely.
because you get
create
stuck
the patterns.
in those, in
Yeah.
like blaming and victim
But
experience.
I would go so far as to say
and the
these
psychology,
kind of
the psychology of terror instead of the psychology of power.
belief and
Instead of saying,
positivity.
yes, the reason that I am saying this is because I can retrain my brain to think about things differently.
Right.
Your brain is formed when you're very young and it tries to protect you from pain. But it interprets whatever happens to you in all kinds of arbitrary ways based on, the moment where you are at that moment,
And
at
whatever
the age of
neural
like 3
pathways
or
you
4
have already
or
been
5. right.
circumscribed to
So
have.
what it understands as pain may not be painful
Might be
after all.
pleasure.
It may be how
The
it
origin of
interpreted.
S&M.
Right, exactly. So unless what you have to do as you grow up, as your passage into adulthood is to take charge of that interpretation of that narrative, take charge of your own
That's
mind.
a beautiful way to
Know
think of
Turn it
thyself.
adulthood.
around. Exactly. Know thyself, Socrates. And once you know yourself, you can retrain how you think, how you name things, so you can be free and happy.
And understand the human nature. I mean, most
Yeah.
people try to suppress.
Understand your
fear
limitations.
and,
Right. Be
when
human.
You really look inside yourself and you get to know yourself and you're honest with yourself.
Right.
Honesty again, key.
Yes, key.
You're
Yes.
able to kind of sort through and really figure out a lot, which
Yes.
was really funny when I was always getting in trouble for the dumbest things. I was late to school because I didn't see any reason. I mean, this is why I would get kicked out of school.
Because you knew the research
I
that
didn't
said
see-
that you cannot really start learning till 10 a.m. That's why all the school.
Exactly.
My daughter's
Oh my
school is
gosh,
starting at
yes.
9
My
a.m.
first class,
now.
my first class
That's
was
beautiful.
recess and then homeroom, where they do nothing but take attendance. You know
Yeah,
what I look like.
yeah.
I'll get there at 9:45. I'm not getting there at 8 and sitting there when I could be sleeping.
Right.
So I would
Yeah.
get things like notes from the chiropractor to get me in late.
Because you were aware
know?
of your own biology and you knew yourself.
And I also knew why I
Yeah.
was going to school.
But that's
You know, I wasn't
some of
being
us-
guess what?
trained to work on a factory
Psychology
line.
It's
didn't
also
tell
your
you that.
circadian
Common
rhythm.
sense.
No, it's not common sense. It's private sense.
Yeah, it's
like
personal
a-
sense.
right? It's personal, like
Yeah.
intuitiveness.
The same sense that we all have like our own circadian rhythm. We all have our own
Yeah.
response to seasons, to
Yeah.
the stars, to the planets, to all of that stuff.
That's
It's
why
personal,
I'm so
individual.
suspicious of generalizations. I
Agreed.
mean, they
Yeah.
really create
Mhm.
these very, very limited stories
Mhm.
from which
And that's why we
can
take so much
claim.
time to answer a very simple question, because we're trying not to generalize, but to actually look for the details
We
behind
need
the
more
question.
details.
Right.
And
So a
also because
question-
we're trying to like support some of these people that are pathetic asking these questions. You know, when the simple answer to
There's
this
no
question is
judgment.
yes.
There's no judgment on
The simple
Speak
answer to
Sex.
question number 6 was yes.
Come on,
You
Martha,
know?
give me another one.
All right. How often do you turn to sex when stuck creatively? Yeah, it's funny.
Good question.
Is that
right?
actually a question for
Yeah.
you?
Yes.
See, I actually don't
Ah,
think
that's
that you're
funny.
turning to sex to get creative. I think that you're sexual in life and it inspires your creativity. No? Or you get stuck on a subject and
I
you
actually do the
you
opposite.
take one of those
but
kids
it's in-
living next door and you just teach them a thing or two and then you come back.
No, actually, it's the opposite for me personally. But it's a good question. I have not practiced it this way. If because I never get stuck creatively, actually. But if I have a rush of creativity, if I have like a major download where I feel super
Sexuality goes
creative,
down.
I quit the sex. Or I take, I try to limit it as much as possible
Right.
because I take all that
become a
sexual
monk.
energy and put it into the work. And it's very useful, creatively, my sexual hunger,
Yes.
if I, sublimate, so instead of like, coming, put it in the work as I
Yes.
come. And I actually, which is kind of like funny to admit, but I actually masturbate a lot when I'm working
Yes.
well. I work, take a break, work. So like kind of like bring the sexual tantric energy into the work.
Tantric energy.
Right. So that's
Exactly.
like the opposite, because the Kundalini has to rise in order for you to get out of yourself to create best, right?
Right.
To create from the human condition
Well, I mean-
instead of from the limit of yourself.
I mean, that's starting from the premise
But
that
this is
the
interesting.
muse comes from outside of yourself.
Right. The muse is bigger than you, for
It's
sure.
bigger than you tap into
But
it.
how often do you turn to sex when stuck creatively? So have you been stuck? Yeah, you've been stuck creatively. Have you turned to sex?
I mean, I don't feel like I'm
funny.
stuck creatively.
true.
I'm
No,
always
Sex
like
is
a
a
Just
million
interrupted
ideas.
creatively.
Yeah, I don't ever
Which
feel
is different,
I don't feel
yeah.
jammed up creatively, but to me, sex enhances my creativity.
Yeah.
It really gets me into like that other flow, and I tap into something else. I feel like all my work is from a sexual energy, and if I
True.
don't have the sexual
Mine
energy,
too.
it cannot
Mine
work.
too. Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you both sex therapists? I thought sex was for celebration and sport. I didn't know it was a tool.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
tool.
tool.
Now, do you use tools when you're talking like this, or you just pick any
Yeah, I
random,
use
or you have
tools,
like
but-
your regular?
I don't
fuck
use
buddies?
tools. Oh, I just
You've got like the top 5 on speed dial.
no. I mean, my sexuality is completely my personal sexuality. So that's what I tap into, and I feel like it's a reservoir that I.
So when you turn to sex,
it means
when you're stuck, you're just thinking about it. You're not actually
I'm thinking
performing.
of masturbation.
You're thinking, but you're not actually
No,
doing.
I'm masturbating.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, I feel like it's just.
And it
like
helps to be creative.
Yeah.
You don't just enjoy the moment for the pure bliss of it.
No.
What do you mean?
Well, also, yes. I mean, of course, we also masturbate just for the pure bliss of it and not use
Well,
it ever.
yeah, it's not
For
like your
sure.
intention is like this
Yeah.
is going to make my sentence better.
No.
But does it just
Definitely-
relax you so it
No, it's more than
Definitely.
just relaxing. It's more of a religious.
You actually
kind
get
of
ideas
thing.
while you're masturbating.
No, it's
No.
not. It's
It
about
just kind of
tapping
opens
into
up the
an
flood.
energy.
Right.
It's
the
almost-
floodgates.
Masturbate to enlightenment.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
kind of. It's
Not
more, It's
enlightenment,
not enlightenment.
no.
It's to tap into like your
Just gets
thoughts.
harder to be a woman, doesn't it?
No, it's not hard
No,
at all.
it's
It's pretty easy.
Then what are they complaining about?
I don't know what they're complaining about. I'm not complaining.
Well, I'm complaining. Everything is complicated because the rules are not clear. We're in like a time of transition or process, so nothing is quite clear.
Can I say, I
we're
think-
redefining everything. I think we
Yeah.
need a new language, speak sex,
Totally.
which is like learning a foreign language. It's like learning French or German. We're
Well,
kind
it's
of like
creating
learning
a language. There is no
right,
language.
creating a language. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Creating a language, which is what we're trying to do here in a safe, sober, or somewhat sober environment, by kind of like, re-examining our codes and our semantics, our patterns, our symbols, our, ideas of common sense, our familiar archetypes, our narratives. I mean, the issue of like daddy or mommy issues, all kinds of little terms that we use without quite thinking consciously about what they mean, and re-entering into language, especially the most personal, somatic and emotional terminology, from a new place, a place of like 21st century post-Me Too movement awareness, right to consent consciousness, a kind of like an extensive, positive, sex-positive consciousness, that sort of thing. So, well, it was great hearing you two interact. I mean, the polarities, I felt like the whole time I had to make nice, which is usually not my role here, so I really enjoyed it. It was something new for me too. And we should do it again. I hope that the audience likes it. Please let me know, everyone, what you think. I am really responsive to your commentary. So comment on the YouTube, comment on the story on Instagram, comment on the posts. And again, if you want to send us your questions, send me your questions. I'm the only one who receives them. Either DM the question on the Speak Sex podcast Instagram account or Facebook page, or on the Speak Sex podcast story of the day, which has a functionality that says ask questions. Or you can email speaksexpodcast@gmail.com, and I promise I will read and answer all of them, or I will answer them on the monthly Q&A episodes. So listen especially closely to those, and the more info you give us, the more specific answer and wiser answer focused on your needs I can give. And thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me as your sex whisperer. And until you hear from me again, please speak sex. Ciao. If I could make love incessantly, I would be God.